Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. Today I will be painting the fourth page of the watercolor coloring book for cute cats that I make myself. I make everything by hand, so if you bought from me, I really appreciate you doing that. And if you are interested in buying the book itself, this is it. Can't really tell. There's too much light over here, but basically everything will be in the description, including the palettes that I make for the coloring books. Although you can use any colors, any paints. Honestly, pencils, oil, acrylic, watercolor, they all work on these watercoloring books. I just really love watercolor, so that's why I make them. And yeah, let's get into it. So far we made 3 pages. The first one, the second one, and the third one. And this is the page that we are working on today. Here's a better look of the watercoloring book itself. As I mentioned earlier, I make everything myself, and I make these tutorials for people to paint along with if they wish to do so. Although if you make a completely different one, you'll color it however you want to, let me know. I'm always interested to see how they turn out. You can just tag me on Instagram or put a comment in here. Or email me. All my contact information and social media profiles will be in the description of the video. And these are the watercolor palettes that I make, that I hand make everything, well, obviously except the packaging. And this paintbrush is what I will be using today. I have the exact same palette over here. This is just a fresh one that's never been used. And yeah, let's get started. So this is going to be probably the easiest one that we've painted so far. The way that this cat's markings are is basically a bluish grayish fur all around, and then white spots here, here, and here. Everything else is gray, and then some shadow on this side and underneath. So relatively simple, and always make sure that you have a rag and just a scrap piece of watercolor paper, if you have it, or just actually any paper will help. And I have a jar on the side with water so that I don't have to keep changing the little reservoir here, although this is very useful when you're on the go. So the first thing we will do is get some blue here, and then get some of the black, although it's really just a really dark blue, and then put that in here. And that looks pretty good, but I want to neutralize the color a little bit, so I'm going to put some of the brown, take some of the brown here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that looks better. That looks much better. And then gonna darken it up some more. Yeah, that's almost perfect right there. Just gonna add some water so we can do a good wash. Okay, so next basically we just do a wash on the side right here. Don't be too worried about it, because it gets much lighter when it dries, and then if you go a little quicker with it, you don't have to worry about messing up with the marks. What I mean to say is that, like how it's overlapping over here, for example, unless you want that effect, unless you want to have a little more textured, layered effect, that's totally fine. So we're just gonna go in and just keep laying the color down. Just go a little slower around the eyes because you don't want to get any of the color, any of this color in the eyes. Okay. We'll put more here. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good. I actually don't mind that little variance over there with the color and how it layered. And put a little bit here. Now, if you want to stylize it a little bit, feel free to just dilute some of the color. And go put some splatters in here. Don't worry about it if it looks too messy. Okay. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now, while we let this dry, we're just gonna mix some, a little bit of orange. My white had a bunch of orange on it, so I'm just gonna, it's kind of orangish, yellowish, really. Just grab that, put in some red. That's a nice pinkish color. Perfect. Okay, that's good. It's okay if it's a little desaturated because we'll layer on some more later on. Okay, put that there. Put some more over here. And then for the little nose. And actually also just a little bit there. It's got a little bit of the tongue showing. The little kitten. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this darker. And the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of a shadow underneath where the cat is. So just grab that. And then the light is coming in at this angle. So put the shadow like that. It does not have to be perfect. Don't stress out about it at all. Just kind of do like a more quick dry stroke here. There we go. Okay, so that's good. And then we'll add a little bit of brown here to make it a little grayer. And again, some blue. Okay. Make sure it's nice and watery because we don't want it to be too saturated. That's the thing I really like about watercolor is it's much easier to kind of control how saturated a color is just by how much water it has. Water versus pigment, kind of. So, okay, we're grabbing this. All right, and so this is gonna be, I'm gonna lay it down right here. And underneath the chin, like that. Also where the fur is, just to show that There's some depth there. Go like that. Maybe some strokes to show the hairs. Some more right here and right here. Show the curvature of the palm. A little bit on the inside of the leg. And more down here. Don't worry about it if it looks kind of messy right now. Remember this, especially with the less saturated, more watery colors that you mix, they just dry very light. Okay, back here for the back of the leg, underneath the belly. And just some more definition here. Maybe a few more hairs. There we go. Maybe show some of the digits on the front paw, on the back leg here. Same thing with these back toes. There we go. It's already looking much better. Underneath the tail. Okay. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. If you notice, there's a bit of a variance between the edges of the different marks. So over here you can see there's a very hard edge. Right here is a very hard edge. Here they're more blurred and kind of faded. So that adds a little bit more interest in the variability of the piece itself. And add some more over here. Kind of define that edge a little better. If the colors that you mix don't come out exactly as mine, don't even worry about it. As long as you can tell the difference between different shapes and difference between where there's light and dark. Color is one of the most subjective things, and it can also really it can drive a person a little mad, because I've spent a lot of time studying color theory and practicing different techniques, and it's just I've noticed that the more I have fun with it, as opposed to overthink it, the better it comes out. So don't overthink it. Think about it, but don't overthink it. It's kind of a hard thing. Okay. Okay, so now while that dries, I'm gonna go in and color the eyes. The eyes are a nice yellowish, greenish. Let's see, that may be a little too strong. I'm gonna dull the color down a little bit with some brown, just a little bit. There, that looks good. Okay, so, and I'm gonna go right over the pupil. The only thing I'm going to try to avoid getting is the little highlight mark. There we go. Looks good. And same right here. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna dry off my brush, dry it off completely, and come in and kind of pick up some of the color. What that does is it gives the the impression of like there's volume, like, so you, because it's lighter here and then darker here, you can kind of see that it's almost like a sphere. You can tell that there's depth to parts of it, you know, kind of like a ball coming out. Like if you look at my hand right here, the shadows on this side, and well, it's not a perfect circle, but the shadows on this side and the light is on this side. That's kind of how the eyeball is, except on this, we're going to try to reverse that. And as it dries, we can always go in and then add a little more shade on the darker side. It's also not completely necessary. The eyes are a small detail, so it's kind of like if it's really something that'll be noticed or not. Okay, so while that's drying and this is still drying, we'll go in to the ears, add a little more pink. There we go. Actually, grab some of this burgundy over here. There we go. And then go a little bit like this. And again, this also helps show depth. There we go. Maybe a little bit on the nose. Okay. I know it looks kind of strong right now, but again, remember, it'll dry much lighter. And then we'll get some more of this. Now we're going to start pushing some of the values. And get a little more brown. Okay, so this is fine. I'm going to add more here. Basically, this layer right here that I'm adding is more for definition, to show separation from the background and help kind of define certain parts of the kitten itself. There we go. And you can kind of move the color around. So like, for example, when I started painting it here, it was much darker, but as I keep painting, it lightens up because the pigment comes off of the brush, and I might touch up some of the other areas with that. Okay. A little bit of that, just outline some of the detail there. Make the paws a little more visible. Do the same back here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Make sure I darken it back here. There we go. Do that. I know a lot of people with watercolor shy away from high contrast, partially because, you know, if you make a mistake, there's pretty much no fixing it with watercolor. But I find that the more confident you are, like, you just practice it and you get more confident with it, and then it's easier to make that happen. Okay, maybe a little shade right there. There we go. And also right here, define that ear a little better. Okay, so that's looking pretty good so far. Now, I need to get really, really heavily pigmented, just black, or though this black is just pretty much just really dark blue, but when you lay it on with barely any water dilution, like if you just have the pigment without diluting it, it comes out looking really, really black. So we'll go right here carefully and slowly for the eye, for the pupil. And we'll just lay it down nice and easy. There we go. And now the other eye. And there we go. The little kitten looks a little confused, but that's okay. Okay, now what we can do is we can go in and put in some really much harsher definitions. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right here. Just more on the edge. Just kind of give it contrast. Kind of help give it more definition. It really helps the lighter areas pop so much more whenever you do this. Okay. Just ever so gently, kind of just barely brush it to get those thin strokes. And then here for the mouth, I'm actually going to give it a little more definition. And also the little nose, what the nostril is. And also the top of the here on the top of the nose, the eyeball. And then on the bottom. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do the bottom. I'm just gonna add more right here. And then do the same for this one. And again, just kind of go slowly. Go very slowly. Nice and easy. Okay. I'll put a little strokes here to show the hairs. Right here too. And here. There we go. And then also just here to show the separation of the head from the body. Maybe here in the ear. And definitely back here a little bit. Show the paw. Okay, that's looking good. And a little bit here. And the last part is gonna be the tail. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. What was that, about 20 minutes? Not bad. So, yeah, let me know what you think. I think this one came out pretty good for how quickly we did it. And, here, let me switch my camera. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what we were going for, and that came out pretty good. Basically, let me know what you think, and I'm also interested to see your result. Just tag me on Instagram or wherever. Honestly, just email me. I'm on all the social media will be in the description. Also, any feedback is always appreciated. I'm still very new at this, and that's pretty much it. I appreciate your time, and I will see you next time.